Hello, everybody. So I'm Julie. I'm the co-founder of Eones. I'm very pleased to be here and to introduce you our startup. Our goal, our mission is to give access to green air services with balloons. Just to tell you a little bit, we have three different kind of products. The first one is tethered balloon. The other one, stratospheric balloons. And the last one is for transportation. It's like little airships for transportation. We merged with another company, a leading company in aerostat sector called Anes. It's a French one too. And we share know-how about conception, fabrication, and also operation. We also are able to produce some balloons if you have special need. To introduce you a little bit more what we do and what are our offers, we have aerial fire watch, so it's a big balloon with a camera under it. You have artificial intelligence under, and we can detect smoke at the beginning of a fire in order to protect our forest. After that, you can remove the balloon and put it in other location if it's in a need, I don't know, in other forest or another fire detection need. The second product, it's an urban airship who aims to fly in 2024 for the Olympic game above the game. And the last one, it's our new offer, Stratolab. It's a stratospheric balloon, so still inflated with helium that is able to fly at the edge of space and can carry some payload, a specialized payload for observation of Earth and universe. So if you have need to fly with balloon and decarbonize your aerial services, we are here and we are on the booth there. So I will be very pleased to go further on discussion. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for this presentation. And now the floor is for Bloom.
Good morning. Then I will now talk about Bloom and its capability in lasers. We do not fly. We support and manufacture for the aerospace industry. Bloom is an innovative and distributive company capable of manufacturing industrial-grade lasers for material processing, and in particular for the aerospace applications. So we address a wide range of markets in the electronic, which is the primary market, and the lasers address in particular the via drilling and the PCB and wafer cutting. We address the energy with the manufacturing of photovoltaic and electrical batteries. And applications in the aerospace that concern all of us here. It's about the processing of the composite, and in particular the drilling, the cutting, the engraving, and the surface functionalization. Considering the power of our laser, we also are delivering lasers for LiDAR application and in particular long-range applications. So today we bring to the market industrial-grade lasers for multiple range of application. The most advantage of our laser and the differentiation is the gain in throughput for manufacturing, and in the gain in increasing the density and the quality of the process. So the business model is clearly simple. with the laser source, we manufacture the laser source, which is actually the motor of the equipment. We sell it to equipment makers for high volume manufacturing, and then these equipments goes into manufacturing lines in mass volume. It goes in the semiconductor foundry, as well as electronic manufacturers, and of course, by extension, into the material processing factories. So what is Bloom? We are deep tech that is based on developing and manufacturing robust and reliable industrial lasers. We offer to our customers innovative solutions to bring more throughput and more capabilities for their process. A brief case study. Why laser? This is the printed circuit board manufacturing case study. Historically, the via were made by standard mechanical processing. Today, they are all done by laser drilling, and the laser enables to go to smaller and smaller via drilling and diameter, and much higher throughput. So we cover today the semiconductor market and address the gigafactories, and also focus on the aerospace applications with from next year with a new products introduction that will bring advanced know-how in smaller via drilling into a material composite. So we already installed. We have a production capacity and capabilities to serve a volume and a growing market. All the lasers are produced into an ISO 6 clean room for long-term operations. So I thank you very much for your attention, and we are exhibiting on our booth on the pôle de compétitivité route des lasers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now let's go for the third company, which is X-Flight. You only have a video? Great.
Hello, my name is Martin Rudert. I'm the founder from X-Flight, and I'm an engineer for robotics, and I was working on software or control loop algorithms for drones for over 15 years. What you see here, that's the contribution of GitHub changes from Betaflight from 2012 to 2015. You see there's tons of people. Every dot is pretty much a file that changed or created. And that work made it possible to fly drones as they're now known as FPV drones. From that software perspective, we designed an aircraft, how an aircraft has to look like based on control loop algorithms. And that's basically what you see here on the video. It's a combination out of an aircraft and a drone with the most amount of movable parts. And that actually was a prototype that we built in like 3 days. And we also managed to do a transition on the first maiden flight, actually. And if you keep control loops algorithms in mind and design an aircraft like this, you get the most stable flight characteristics that you can imagine. That was actually the 4th day of that prototype build. It was, you see the other drones filming it. It was a real windy day. Even with that wind, we could manage to fly over 200 kilometers with that airplane. Did a full transition. That's an intermediate transition. The full transition with 200 kilometers per hour was way too fast. Here you see the full transition. We couldn't manage to film that with another drone because it was way too fast. And so that's the patented design. It actually looks a little bit like a bird. Then it transforms into the full mode. And it's a really simple design. But I'm a software engineer, I'm an aircraft designer, so we are looking for companies in the aerospace sector who want to get help from software and control loop algorithms and help us to build that in a big scale. In order to scale this thing up, beside battery problems, which are obvious, another problem is the propulsion unit. I was working for nearly 5 years developing these race drone motors. Before they were existing, it wasn't possible to fly with those at that speed and accuracy. What you see here, that was one of our first big customers. It's a bridge in Germany where we did for like 2 months, over 700 flights in rain, in windy conditions, under bombardment of concrete and everything, and our drones lasted every time. So there you see the power of open source software and the swarm intelligence that comes out with it. That's all me flying with those drones in especially windy conditions on mountain rocks. There you see that's the most stable flight characteristics you can do. The only thing to scale this up, there's no propulsion unit right now. So that's why we applied for a research project with the German government and some universities to start scaling up the solution to have the needable power propulsion unit that's needed for this. That sounds easier than it actually is, but we're also looking here for companies who are able to bring or give us a propulsion unit that had the power to efficiency hover and also get a really high cruise speed. When that's ready, we start scaling up. Right now, we can build up drones that fly in that accuracy with up to 20 kilos payload. Over that, we're still working on for the next generation of full-size race drones. Thank you for your attention. Visit us on booth in Hall 5C 2024 to see more of our prototypes and more of our propulsion units that we tested. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, please warm for all the way.
Hello. So we created a solution to simplify travel and enable intermodality. So basically, we're on a mission to disrupt the travel industry by offering an all-in-one solution, enabling a different journey on long distance. So let's look at the problem right now. Because in reality, what I'm going to discuss today is luggages. So a few years from now, we'll have more than 70% of the people living in cities with huge mobility issues. And luggage is part of the issue for mobilities in city centers, for seniors, for families, and people with handicaps. Also, what we see is that there is an increased traffic jam going to the airport on the way back. And so getting the luggage out of the way is very important because it enables people to use public transportation to go to the airport. Also, what we see structurally is that the air traffic is growing plus 4% year on year when airport infrastructure do not expand. So what it means that airports estimate that they need to deport between 10 to 20% of the airport operations in city centers. So what we're doing right now is we need to find a solution to deport airport operations in city centers. And looking further, governments and authorities are pushing for decarbonization. And one of the topics is intermodality. So the huge challenge is to enable modal shift from plane to train. The problem is when you have two legs journeys where the luggage is in the way and not enabling people to have intermodal journeys. So basically what we do at All the Way, we're bringing the airport to your home. So we come to your place, we check in your luggage, and you find it back at destination. And when you come back to your destination, instead of waiting for your luggage on the delivery carousel, we have it delivered to your house. What is the impact? 60% of people who are checking their luggage in the city center use public transportation to go to the airport and public transportation on the way back. So we've developed our first solution. There is no live. And we're also operating the service on door L. So you can check in your luggage here at the Paris Air Show. What's very important is this screen. You can select a pickup location and a 10-minute time slot, so you don't have to queue anymore. And so you don't have to go to the airport to check in your luggage. Also very important screen is this one. We've developed a solution where we integrate with airline to track your luggage all the way. And I'm coming from retail. I'm not coming from the airline operations. I'm coming from a world where you can track every e-commerce parcel. How come we can't track a luggage today? The problem is the data exists, but it's in silos, right? Airport, airlines, logistic operators, they do not share data. We are on a mission to make sure we're creating that platforms to make that data available in a flawless way. And further down, what we're really creating is the travel buddy, because traveling long distance sometimes is very painful. But really what we're creating by integrating all data of the airlines, airport, logistic ecosystem is that all-in-one solution, solutioning all the problems. So you might ask, what's our business model? Are we a service company? Are we a hardware company? Are we a software company? So basically what we're creating is a data platform, an amazing user experience. And we also have some hardware. You'll see outside, if you're going to Eldor, we have our own check-in kiosk that we've developed. But we do not run operations. Basically what we do, we are a plug-and-play solution. We go on top on any logistic solution that for them to use our solution. So basically it can be any ground handling, any FedEx, any DPD, any Geopost partner, making sure we have a safe and profitable operating system. So we are three co-founders. I'm Émilie Gazeau, I'm the CEO of All the Way. As I said, I'm coming from the data and the digital environments, especially from retail. My co-founders, Julian Kolfmacher, has been doing ground handling both in Europe and in the US, Canada, and has extensive expertise in the airport operations. And Anwar Zbaida is the CTPO, is coming from Snowflakes and Talent. So he's really about data integration and making sure we have the best scalable infrastructure to integrate all the industry information. Our vision is really to go to market in the top 20 cities in the world. And how do we do that? The Accor Group invested in All the Way, and we signed a partnership to roll out our solution in more than 5,000 hotels. Because what we're doing right now is really we're creating back check-in solution inside hotels. The idea is to create mini hubs, like 20 to 40 mini hubs in every city to make sure that people can drop off and check in their luggage. Our business model is quite extensive. First, what we're doing right now, we're going through hotels, corporate travel, tour operators, concierge, Disney World, but also convention centers like here. Also, all those actors are asking for the service. This solution is quite innovative, and now that travel is back on track, everyone is looking to have a more seamless approach to travel. But we also have a direct consumer offer where anyone can go on the website and book for the service. Later on, our solution will offer a subscription model. Also, we're working with airline, airports, and hotels to integrate the service in our solution. We're rolling out the service right now in 2023, but we are laser focused on the European Games next year, making sure it will be the stage board to expand globally. We have signed extensive partner with all airline travel partners in the industry, making sure we are the cornerstone of every travel partner in the industry. We're raising 8 million euros at the end of the year. So if you are interested to discuss further with us on how we're going to deploy our solution, please come talk to us. Thanks.
Thank you. Now let's go for the last pitch of this morning session. Please welcome Rise.
Thank you, and hi everybody. I was just wondering whether this logo was big enough. Is it clear? Our name is Rise. So we're here because we've developed software for business aviation. We're supported, by the way, by BPI France, Région Nouvelle-Aquitaine, Airbus, and a few others. The logos are there on the right. And let's delve straight into the topic. So what do we mean when we say business aviation? I think we've all been on a scheduled airline, such as Air France, EasyJet, etc. Those are still down about 10% on 2019 levels, still struggling to recover. Business aviation, on the other hand, is 20% up on 2019 levels. Jets have never been flying more than they have today, and the trend is definitely upwards. However, business aviation's had an issue since its existence, actually. So for the last 50 years, here is something you'll easily understand. You've got a customer starting from London that wants to come here to Paris. So that's fine. The customer gets dropped off in Paris. But then maybe the next customer is in Barcelona. So the aircraft goes empty from Paris to Barcelona. And so it goes on day after day, week after week. The number of empty flights in business aviation is around 40%. Can you believe it? When you look up, the jets above our heads are empty 40% of the time. So it's a huge issue which has always been there and which is there because of the nature of the game. It's a taxi service, so there's the empty flights. So how does it work today? Well, this is what planning looks like in business aviation. So you've got aircraft number 1 that does this and this and this flight. Then you've got aircraft number 2 that does this and this flight. But this is really just one option. And when you think about it, maybe you could combine things differently and send the first aircraft to do this and that flight and the second aircraft to do things differently. What you need to keep in mind, though, is that there are a number of constraints associated with the infrastructure, the aircraft, the crew that need to be respected if you're going to plan or replan. So let's recap for a second. So business aviation, 40% of empty flights, and an equation that's a pretty complex one to resolve. So this begs the question, how are plannings made today? Well, believe it or not, today, in 98% of cases, plannings are made by human beings, which we think is a little bit crazy because a human being beyond 5 or 6 aircraft cannot come up with an optimal solution. So we've developed a solution to help, to assist the human being, and we've called it Optirize. It runs today with a few different fleets of business aviation operators. And obviously, it does a good job to help the human being. In fact, it yields savings in terms of operating costs of up to 20%, and savings in terms of CO2 that's avoided, of course, up to 15%. We've also thought about the future with all of the electric and decarbonized aircraft coming to the market, and we've made sure that our solution was able to accommodate the upcoming aircraft with shorter ranges and more constraints, so we can manage that as well. So that's Rise. Rise is also, of course, about people. So my history is in consulting for various industries and transportation, but I've also worked in high-speed trains where I was responsible for getting the most out of a train service, carrying the most people with as small a fleet as possible. So that's what I've always been doing. Jean-François is our CTO, and Stéphane is here for every question related to the industry itself. Thank you for your attention. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Do not hesitate to spend time with startups. They are all here. Some booths are at this place. Some others are on all 5 on the Start Me Up area. there are 3 pitch stations like this one today. So 1 this morning, 1 every morning, and 2 in the afternoon. And at noon, we've got a networking event. It's on all 5 on Start Me Up area. Please go there, enjoy a drink, and meet all startups. There are more than 300 startups. There's one filling unit. Now we go for another event, which is Inspiring Journey. So we'll have some startups presenting the creation, the way. Cedric, you will come here.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So we are going to start a new event, which is the Inspiring Journey. We are going to welcome on stage 4 startups, and I don't want to make any mistake. I think first, so first of all, on the behalf of SIAE, we are very, very keen to welcome you today, and we are going to start with Adriana Gogonel from Statens. And she is going to introduce herself. So you please welcome on stage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tu vois, Parcours Inspirant mercredi. Pourquoi j'ai pas les présentations de Parcours Inspirant?
Alors là, aucune idée, c'est pas moi qui gère ça, hein, c'est Clara. Et Clara, je sais pas où elle est. Elle était sur la clé, hein. Elle est où la clé? Non, c'est une clé bleue. Je sais pas où elle l'a. C'est là.
Ah oui, sauf que comme il y a tout qui est connecté, je sais pas si vous allez pouvoir avoir.
Votre présentation, elle s'appelait Paris 2023 0620 Paris Saint-Germain. Ah bah si, c'est celle-là.
Celle-là?
Dites-moi si c'est bien celle-là quand même. Ah bah super. Bon, là, par contre, on en a que 2 sur 4. Mais bon, on peut commencer. Voilà. Sorry for the small delay. We are not gonna to start now. We are gonna start. Sorry. Merci.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I am Adriana Gogonel, CEO and co-founder of Statens. Statens is a spin-off in area created in 2019, and we are proposing a tool and services for the temporal verification of electronical part of embedded systems. But today I will try to make our journey interesting for you. Maybe you will learn things. Maybe you will learn from our mistakes. So I'll get started. So I was saying that for us the departure point, it was in RIA. It was after 10 years of research and 2 patents that we decided to do a technological transfer to the industry. We didn't want to build a company. We wanted to transfer our technology to a company existing already. We didn't find that, so we decided to create it ours. Ineria was very supportive to us, and this is where we start having I did EM Lyon master, so it was me that left a little bit my academical courses to go to a more commercial ones, so being the manager of a company. The next step was for us Agoranov. It's a deep tech incubator in Paris. And this is where we learned finally that we have to have a vision, we have to have a roadmap, we have to think future. The next step for us, it was Wilco. It's an accelerator. The main thing that we learned there, it was to do a value proposition. So to put our what we are proposing as a technology, to dress it as a real product that propose something to some part of a market. We were also incubated in ESABIC. This is where we start thinking maybe our first part of the market, it will be the space market. So we started to vulgarize also the way we are presenting our technology, because if I start pitching our technology as it is from a scientific point of view, it is not very understandable. So we started to think of ways of presenting this in a way that everyone can understand it. In 2021, so after 2 years after our creation, we were starting to become a real company. We were then 5 people in the company, and we started to have, when we looked behind us, that there were things that we already done. So put on this on paper, it was very rewarding for us just to see it. Yes, from time to time you have to stay there and say, yeah, okay, the journey, it's not easy because it's a lot of work finally. At all the steps, it's a lot of work. But if your work is there and you enjoy what you are doing, well, the results will come. And it's nice to stay from time to time, even if you have the impression you didn't advance much, to look behind you and see, yeah, I didn't advance much, but what have I done? So and you will see the results are there. So in 2022, it was the real Statens that got known, and we are starting having networks. We're starting having a team. We were 7 at that time. We had a very clear view of what our market was. We knew that we are starting with aerospace. We were at the blast at Starburst, and there we start having contacts in the aerospace world. And this is where we are today. So a company that it keeps on growing. We are 12 today. We have a product that it's ready to be bought, that have already been bought. We have our product has a lot of features, and it is we continue discovering what we can propose to our clients, because sometimes the features that are the most interesting for them, we didn't even see it at the beginning. And for us, it were just steps in the way of obtain our real product. For example, our product is our main feature is the worst case execution time of a program. So an industrial needs this criteria, worst case execution time, in order to dimension his processor. But when we are giving him the WCET, actually for arriving at that result, we are doing a lot of analysis. And among these analyses, one of them, it was that they can improve their testing, because we are proposing, for example, today, if they do changes in their code, the industrial have to do the simulation all over again and for the entire code to see how this impacted their WCET. It is not the case if you use a tool like ours. So today we are a team of 12 with the UX UI designer that is arriving in our team, and we are addressing the aerospace at first, but we are starting also to be in the automotive and the autonomous vehicle. And yes, this is a very classical startup journey, even a school case, if I may say. And if you have any question, or I'm here for you to answer. Thank you.
Non, ça va s'afficher. Fenêtre, non, c'est affichage. Plein écran. Here we go. Yeah, I leave you the floor. Aerotrax. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I appreciate you all taking the time here. I'm David Bettenhausen, co-founder and CEO at Aerotrax Technologies, where we're focused on supply chain visibility and analytics for customer-centric aviation aftermarket companies. And so what I'll do today is a little bit different. Was tight on timelines, given that my flight was delayed and all the meetings were pushed back. So the presentation I built is more so focused on the biggest learning experience we've had over the course of 25 different product pivots, a lot of changes in the team, and also a couple rounds of investment that we've gone through here. So with that, I'll run through the three concepts that I'm going to be going over, which is 1, vector alignment drives company progress. 2, functional teams drive alignment. And then 3, operational debt kills growth opportunity. And this last piece is where we're focusing on as a company within the aviation aerospace industry. So I'll talk about the product there too. But this is an interesting quote that I've been digging into deeper, and actually wrote a memo around to our team and our investors recently, where every person in your company is a vector, and progress is really determined by the sum of all the vectors. And so this is a quote by Elon Musk. Hello? Test, good. Quote by Elon Musk that Dharmesh Shah.
Un, deux, test.
Well, I'll continue here. By Dharmesh Shah, who's the Chief Growth Officer and co-founder at HubSpot. And so he focuses a lot on different growth opportunities and concepts. And this quote is a little bit like the Michael Scott and the American Office. Much better. All right, thank you. Where I'm quoting somebody who's already quoting somebody. But the core of it is the same, and the credit really goes to Dharmesh, who kind of created this. And so a vector is what has both magnitude and direction. And so when you think about a person and the impact they can have on a company, you can look to quantify that. And what we're looking at here in both direction and magnitude is a great person, great teammate, 9 out of 10. Nobody's perfect, but this is as close as you can possibly get. And so when you go forward here into what we call the null vector, which is 2 different sort of sections going forward, and company is being strayed in multiple directions. Nobody can really get a grasp on what's happening. And so the total impact here is 0. Are we good on mic stuff? I guess not. And then on in another world where suboptimal sort of team alignment is driving a lack of impact across organization, And when you see this, it's really a lack of strategy and cohesiveness across the team. But the ideal scenario is around vector full alignment. So this is where you have the maximum impact of the organization and all the people are driving in the same direction at the same time. And so within this, we have functional teams. And at Aerotrax, we have 4 functional teams. But an example of this would be a technology team where you've got the engineering, product, design, and within that you have people, you have processes, you have capabilities. These across the 4, you have commercial as well, where it's business development, sales, marketing, customer success, and operations. And so when we view this, it's sort of a flywheel effect where technology drives commercial, commercial drives customer success, and the grease that keeps the flywheel going is operations. And at times, if you don't focus on the operations, so the HR, the legal, standardizing contracts, you'll begin to see breakdowns in customer success, in technology, and new product experiments, and then ultimately into the commercial and your pipeline. And so what we've seen is this operational debt impedes growth opportunities. And we saw it with our own company, and we also saw it with our customers. And so with our customers, these are aviation, MRO, OEM companies. And what we've seen in the supply chain as we look at where they're spending their time and their dollars, when they organize around an M&A transaction, what is traditionally being rolled up are just the financials, whereas all the operations are left in their own element. And you've got legacy systems, different operating companies with different systems, different processes, and then you add into the mix a constrained talent pipeline, and you have this hodgepodge of issues that arise to create this huge debt that has accrued over years. And so us as a company, what we have decided to focus on is pulling in data, organizing it into a simple supply chain operational infrastructure that gives you 360-degree awareness of your customers, your processes, and your people, so that you can become a better, well-connected organization. And so with us as a company, we've seen our challenges as we've pivoted across multiple different product verticals. And now as we're focusing on helping companies support in the integration of the transaction of net new companies that they bring under the fold, we see a really strong opportunity to provide a security-first approach to modernizing this digital data infrastructure. And so what we'd really like to do is continue to help these aftermarket organizations. And so if you're working with any MROs or OEMs that are looking to grow in their aftermarket, please drop me a line, and thank you very much. But I appreciate the time today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Aerotrax. So now we are going to welcome on stage Spencer Horn from Cloudline. I'll leave you the floor now.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour Paris, je m'appelle Spencer. That is the extent of my French. Good morning, everyone. My name is Spencer Horn, and I am the founder and CEO of Cloudline. With me in the audience today, I also have my chief engineer in the back. And what Cloudline does is we have developed autonomous airships as a completely carbon-free solution, which substitutes a number of different vehicles, including, I think I'm going to have to compete with that applause up there, including helicopters, and drones in a number of applications. But today I'd like to take you through the story of our founding and some of the original inspiration in terms of use cases that we looked at as a company. And here again, are our autonomous airships that are meant to transform the way we do operations by air with breakthrough cost advantages and zero carbon emissions. And just a quick note on our thesis of change when we think about green aviation. We believe that we have to be the most affordable solution. We have to drive the bottom line, and that is going to allow for actually capturing market share for green solutions. But when we started this journey, we were very impact orientated on reaching remote communities that are not well supplied or logistically connected. In my previous job, I was a management consultant. I was doing work and traveling across the African continent, and I encountered the lack of road infrastructure and some of the incredible difficulty in getting out there, as well as the concomitant decline in any kind of economic activity. Sometimes it felt like time was standing still, or you moved back in time as you got further and further from the major roads. And then I found out what we do when there are emergencies and the ways in which we deliver. And this is a particular use case done by World Food Programme. What you see on the screen behind me is the way in which boxes of food aid, typically of 20 or 30 kilograms, are loaded onto large aircraft, Ilyushin 76s, Soviet-era jets, and are then dropped out the back. And this is what the last mile scenario then looks like. And this is food aid, which is meant to reach these populations. This is the most expensive terrestrial delivery we do. This is done sometimes up to the cost of $10,000 per ton or $10 per kilogram. I'm sure you can imagine, if you just think about your average grocery basket or the cost of the fruit that you buy, or you may be thinking in kilograms, think of the added logistical cost to simple grains and cereals and other things. Often in excess of 90% landed cost would be the logistics of getting these products out there. Now, you've heard about a lot of people presenting here at the Paris Air Show who were talking about carrying incredibly large payloads on the order of several tons, like these jets can do. But what all logistics people will tell you is that this last mile part is the hardest part and the most expensive part. And this is what it ends up looking like in places like South Sudan, where this operation has been running for about 14 years now, each year. And in the rainy season, World Food Programme will move 100 tons of food product per day this way. Roughly $1 million per day is what their operation looks like. So we set out and founded Cloudline, looking at the ways in which autonomous airships could move larger payloads than drones, cover larger distances. And we were doing this in South Africa. We are the only South African company, along with another fuel provider here today, that turns coal into fuel oil. So you can imagine what a challenge that was, bringing hardware to life all the way from the southernmost part of the continent. Sorry, this is just more of that story. But today I'm proud to share with you that we've done exactly that. Over the course of 3.5 years, we've raised $4 million, and we have built the aircraft that you now see on the screen. It is a completely solar-powered aircraft. We have achieved payloads of up to 40 kilograms, which we can move. And once again, we think about large payloads in terms of what is the smallest indivisible payload, which you can then transport over multiple trips with multiple aircraft in order to achieve throughput. We manufacture this or do the final assembly in South Africa, and we believe we achieve a capex and operational cost which beats everybody else in the market. We've also found resonance with customers in aerial monitoring applications, and in those, if you, for example, substitute helicopters that are flying over power lines or the like, we can beat them on more than 20x the cost which is being done today. I'm also very proud to share that this aircraft has just recently been certified by the South African Civil Aviation Authority. We now have a system safety certification. And we are launching our first services in Namibia over the next 2 months with UNICEF. And we will be getting out critical goods to remote clinics as well as bringing back diagnostic tests from those clinics into central hospitals and labs. This is a crucial function for them in a part of the country near the Angolan border where there just isn't the infrastructure to do this by road. And you've got a number of medical issues to tackle for which the funding exists, but the logistical link simply does not. If you want to see more videos like this and talk to us about the capabilities of the aircraft, please stop by our stand in Hall 5 at the startup section. So just then on the use cases, what we found through the journey as we've talked to different customers and we've built with them very close to the solution, there are additional costs that we face because we are not based in Silicon Valley or in Delft or in Toulouse or in Shenzhen. But one of the advantages that we have is that we are very close to our customers. And we've realized that there are actually a number of key areas. We've already talked about last mile delivery, in which we have the range to cross the middle mile, but deliver down to the last mile, which is crucial. So you don't have a modal switch. We can do up to 400 kilometers on our solar-powered aircraft. Then we've got an entire aerial monitoring set of use cases. And we've already seen the excitement around things like power line monitoring, mapping and monitoring fires as they take place, providing civil security applications in remote areas. And then another one, which we'll actually be launching with World Food Programme towards the end of the year, is actually looking at low-altitude data transmission. For those of you who remember Loon, they were looking at a high-altitude solution, a permanent telecommunications solution. Cloudline is looking at emergency deployments. A natural disaster has just come through in the form of a cyclone or a flood. We can deploy this aircraft that you've seen here. Let me see if I can get the video to play. We can pack it up and ship it all as oversized baggage on board a commercial aeroplane, which means we can be anywhere in the world and deploy as quickly as a scheduled flight will get us there. And that's the emergency use case. We are focusing right now. We've built up this pipeline of work in logistics and in data transmission, but we're looking especially keenly at aerial monitoring so that we can unlock some of these high-value use cases and build the roadster, so to speak, before we build the Model 3. I mentioned just in terms of the pipeline of contracts that we have our system certification in South Africa, and we've got operating partners there. We've also got our signed contracts in Namibia. In Kenya right now, we are demonstrating live to the Civil Aviation Authority as I speak here. I've got engineers in the country. And in Mozambique, where we're also going to be trialing our data transmission solution. We are also, for those of you who are investors, raising funding this year, so please stop by the stand and talk to us about our round. And I thank you very much for your time today. Feel free to come up to myself or to Anton, my chief engineer, and we'll be around for the rest of the week in Hall 5. Thank you all very much.
So, hi everyone. I'm Anton Fourcade and the co-founder of Sirius Space Services. So at Sirius, we are developing a range of reusable launchers suited for small sat and mid-sized satellites. So basically, what are we doing? We are developing a range of launchers based on one launcher, which is called Sirius 1. And we are using the first stage as a booster to have 3 levels of performance, 175, 600, and 1 ton of performance. Our specificity is that we have a unique price for all of the launchers. And to achieve this, we'll have a fill rate over 85%. To have some information of launchers, they have a height of 25 meters for the smallest, and they have a weight of around 30 tons. We provide launchers that will be sustainable, and to achieve this, we are developing 100% reusable launchers on the long term, and on the first flight, we will have a first attempt of prioritization. We also use biofuel to propel Sirius. We use oxygen liquid and biomethane. So, what is our competitive positioning? On the market at the moment, you have 3 types of launchers. 2 types, in fact. Some small launchers that can put payload into orbit around 150 kilos. We can talk about Rocket Labs. And on the other side, you have some big launchers that could put payload into orbit about 65 tons. They are doing some white shell mission, and so you don't decide when you will go into orbit. At Sirius, we are developing a range of launchers dedicated to small sat launchers. So, what is Sirius? Sirius is a two-stage launchers with nighttime the star engine on the first stage and one time the same engine on the second stage. We are developing this engine 100% in intern and 85% by additive manufacturing. At Sirius, we want to achieve some high cost. We have some high cost efficiency, and we want to go to orbit at a price between 10 to 50 K per kilo. To do that, we use a maximum cost component, so a component of other industries that we qualify for space, and also cutting-edge technologies as additive manufacturing. So where are we now at Sirius? We founded the company in 2020, and we did our first fundraising mid of 2021. We start release the activities of engineering in May 2021. A few months afterwards, we manufactured our first parts by additive manufacturing. Beginning of 2022, we qualified our first test bench. Afterwards, we manufactured our first prototype of engine beginning of 2022 in just 1 year. At the summer of 2022, we did our first fire test on a subscale of 5 kilonewton thrust shed, and we succeed. It was time for us to go further, and we begin the development of the star engines, our rocket engines that will go into orbit. Beginning of 2023, we ended the manufactured, we integrated the engine, and we did our first fire test a few months before, and it was the first, we were the first company, the first French company to successfully fire its rocket engine, its flight rocket engine. So what is our roadmap now? We did some few milestones, and we will be at the end of the year 100 employees at Sirius. At the moment, we are more than 60%, and we are moving to our inaugural flight. We plan to go to orbit for the first time end of 2025, beginning of 2026. 2026 will be the time for us to put it in orbit, also Sirius 13 for the first time, and 2027 will be the time for us also to put Sirius 15 into orbit. We plan to do 1 launch per month in 2030. So at the moment, Sirius is more than 60%. You can see our team. We never can have all the team in the same photo because they are always at all the places in Europe. And we also have a combined team with Safran Data System and Air Liquide Advanced Technologies. So if you want to join our journey, please follow us on LinkedIn. And if you want to see our rocket engine, it is in the next booth on the GFAS booth. Thank you for your time.